All right, hey, vitamin C all day, get training all day long, and trying to do some live streams in between. But I'm just watching our buddy, Uncle Cliff, as they say, Cliff High. Um, the diaconite glasses, his father, I guess, was one of the first people to ever use those and was probably the reason why they weren't, that those particular night vision goggles weren't spread around. Interesting story there, right? But Cliff High, he created a data system way back in the 90s that really looks, he was combining Plutchik's wheel and looking at emotional cues and beginning to see an algorithm there that was undeniable, right? But lately, he's done a few videos on this where he's talked about the Voyager, the Sycamore chip here, right? And obviously, that's been recently replaced by the Willow, right? But that in its dissemination of information with the Voyager 1, as it was passing through, it's at, I think, 160 million miles away now. Our sun is right around 93 million miles, so it's going on twice the distance of the sun, right? So when you get into light years and all that stuff, right? So this is when I believe it transited just beyond, right? Which was recently, like I say, I think it's over 150 million miles now. I think it's going on 160 miles away from us at this point. So I'm not sure if they mean the solar system center, but probably away from Earth. And he's positing that something was probably triggered and that there was some sort of artificial barrier set up that prompted all this strange stuff that's going on. Namely, he's talking about this printout, this image that warped the people's minds that actually were exposed to this, to where everyone saw something slightly different when they were looking at this image, and that the actual interface between the hardware or software that's on the Voyager versus the translation with the Sycamore chip, because obviously the Sycamore chip isn't going to be on Voyager 1, right? That's something that I don't see him clarifying, right? But there's no way that would work unless they did that through some sort of time traveling device when it was first sent off. It's been many years now. So when you begin to look at this whole thing, and the fact that it understood how to transpose this, and the fact that the medium of how it would arrive to us, is that something that just happened? Are we unlocking the ontological information and thinking that something is communicating with us, where in fact the ontology is teaching us? It is just doing it through this sort of superstructure. In other words, when you look at the base rudimentary first computational systems, particularly if you look at back at the Zusa models, right, and you see the depiction of this, you see how you have these binary set codes of information. The electrical impulses are traveling through there. If you were to power something like that with a sun, right, and you were to look at the amplification with a planetary body, and then you look at how big the actual event is that, say, Earth produces with its magnetosphere, right? You'd have to include that in the every bit of electromagnetics in the anomalous event of what Earth represents, along with every other planetary body. So suddenly the distance between these bodies isn't as great, right? And you can start to see a resonant codified algorithm taking place there, right? And by introducing a piece of geometrical information where there was none, it may be triggering a natural phenomenon through the ontological system, right? Really, the epistemological system, how intelligence really interacts with the nature of the thing. So this epistemological decoding of ontology and vice versa, the ontological decoding of the epistemology. You have this interplay, and somewhere in the liminal center, perhaps beyond, it almost gets into the geometrical constructs that I talk about on this channel with aromatic amino acids, and the aromatic rings that they represent, right? So once we begin to look at this and start to understand that it is knowledge, it's logic, it's consciousness, it's everywhere, it's not some alien species. We're always narcissistically taking into account the way we think, and that we think that we stand as these grandiose observers. But we never really look at the fact that the consciousness is taking place everywhere. And if you're looking at the consciousness as Hameroff and Penrose postulate or posit, that we are the consciousness that we are producing or exhibiting is taking place on the microtubule level, particularly prompted by the geometric trapping of light or the informational transduction with Zeitgebers. When you begin to look at the entire universe or the cosmos behaving in the same way, right? Cliff High brings up some great points. I put that link down below. It sounds like a lot of the things that he's talked about before. That's a pirated ripoff channel on YouTube. He only posts up on Substack and I think one other spot. So that actually came out the other day, and then it will be falsely generated with an inaccurate date. I believe that might have been the day before yesterday. So it says that it came out, I think, today or yesterday. Anyway, my 2 cents on that.